The Nature Boy is the best world champion in wrestling history, but even he has some skeletons in his closet that WWE wants you to forget. 10 things WWE want you to forget about Ric Flair. Heat with the Hitman. It's hard to make friends in the wrestling business, and after 40 plus years, the Nature Boy has made more than his fair share of enemies. One such individual he shared a battle with through their books was Bret the Hitman Hart, and neither had good things to say about the other. Hart said that Flair was never as big of a draw as he thought he was, and that he was a dick. While Flair claimed Hart exploited his brother Owen's death too much. Whether there is truth to any of this, WWE would like you to forget about the bad blood between these two legends. Record setting with WCW. WWE has set many attendance records in recent years, but one they will never top was set by Ric Flair in WCW of all places. Collision in Korea was a huge 2-day event which combined WCW and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and it will never ever be topped. The event drew over 300,000 people, with Day 2 being headlined by Flair, seeing a whopping 190,000 people in attendance. WWE wants you to remember Flair as a huge draw, just not for WCW. His financial problems. For someone who prides himself on styling and profiling, you'd imagine Flair would be incredibly well off. But you'd be wrong. Due to his relationship problems, which include multiple failed marriages, Flair has fallen on hard times throughout his life. This isn't to make fun of Flair's personal life, but WWE wants you to remember the character Flair portrayed, and forget that due to it, he lost much of his wealth behind the scenes. Blading during the PG era. This one has not been 100% confirmed, but it almost certainly happened. When WWE went PG in 2008, intentional blading was banned, and we've seen several stars reprimanded for it. These included Batista and Chris Jericho, but on an episode of Raw, it seems as though the Nature Boy intentionally introduced some red into the action. WWE is still PG 8 years later and would love if you forgot the one time one of their industry's greatest ever showed disrespect. The plane ride from hell. This story will live on in the wrestling business forever, even if WWE doesn't want it to. A lot of the fun and games happened on the plane ride, but Flair's behavior was not on. He walked around in nothing but his trademark robe and did more than just flash women. He reportedly forced several women to grab his crotch and was accused of sexual assault, which is something WWE never wants you to remember. Kissing Becky Lynch. Ooh, WWE definitely wants you to forget this, as it was removed from the WWE network shortly after the Royal Rumble 2016. Rick was helping his daughter on screen and doing a pretty good job of turning her into a great heel. But this one, we'd all like to forget. During their bout at the Royal Rumble, Rick grabbed Lynch out of nowhere and planted a kiss on her. Whether it was planned or not, Becky looked disgusted, and WWE has already taken measure to help you forget about it. His almost WrestleMania main event with Hulk Hogan. Fans of wrestling in the 80s were begging for this match, and it remains one of the greatest matches to never happen. But it almost did. WWE liked to present itself as the place where anything can happen. So to think that this was a proposed WrestleMania main event for WrestleMania 8 would make many hearts break. We've seen Hogan versus Rock, Rock versus Cena, and even Goldberg versus Lesnar too. But unfortunately, we will never see the Immortal versus the Nature Boy in the WWE. WWE 2K panel. This incident is infamous for getting Jim Ross fired and is a bad look for everyone involved. Promoting WWE 2K14 the video game, Flair was among a panel of legends, but was wasted the entire time. It came just shortly after his son's passing, so he probably shouldn't have been there in the first place. As well as getting JR fired, Flair also claimed that Daniel Bryan would never be a draw and disrespected one of the top WWE talents at the time. Wrestling for TNA. Ric Flair wrestled an amazing match against Shawn Michaels, which forced him to retire in 2008. And that's all WWE wants you to remember. Unfortunately, the Nature Boy went and joined TNA, and it didn't go well. The company was going downhill the whole time he was there, and he broke his retirement for terrible matches with Hulk Hogan and Sting. We did get some great, entertaining segments with Jay Lethal, but WWE wants you to forget it all. The REID Flair segment. This one might not be about Rick specifically, but his reaction and the segment itself all need to be forgotten. The subject of Charlotte's brother's death was used to add heat to the rivalry between her and Paige, but it did nothing but offend everyone involved. WWE didn't even tell Rick or Reed's mother that they were doing it, and the disrespect for a legend like Flair is something they would love you to forget. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and subscribe, and remember, no matter how big of a legend you are, you will always have a downside.